Hey yo, you know what it is. You know who it is. It's the Don Cheer, Tony Teflon Cheer, House Teflon Cheer. We pull the strings, cheer, just like that. Alright, now I'm back at you right here, and this one's going to be the second part of why Stannis will win the Battle of Winter Ice. And I've already said in the first part how he plans on winning the initial battle itself. And now I'm going to go into the siege of Winterfell itself. Now, a lot of this, obviously, I'm going to have to speculate on. There's not, a lot of proof about a lot of things of how the battle's going to go. And I believe the battle will be done really quick, just like inside of the, real quick inside of the next book. So we'll see who's right, if I'm right or not, real fast about it or not. So, but I think there's a couple of things we could take from it, from what we've read before, to see how Stannis will take control of Winterfell. And that also means that, yes, Stannis is alive. The bastard letter, the pink letter, could, obviously it did something on that. I believe that was Stannis that wrote that letter to bring Jon down. I know a lot of people believe that Mance wrote the letter. That's the new thing I've been hearing a lot. And it's feasible for people to think that Mance wrote the letter, but there's a couple of things on the letter that point to Mance not writing the letter. Let me see if I can think of one real quick offhand of why Mance wrote. Well, the Wildling Babe. The way he calls the Wildling Babe, and he calls the other guy Prince. Now, we know that as the Wildlings do not respect kneelers, do not call anyone prince or princess. Only one who does call people prince and princess, call them prince or princess, is Stannis Baratheon. So that is one point. Why would Mance do that? Another point you could put on it is that Ramsay sends a lot of letters. If you think it's Ramsay, he would send it with some type of skin or some type of blood or some type of craziness like that. He doesn't. So that from that you could pretty much guess it's not him, and it's not sealed. It's just smeared on. So the person who does send it does not have the stamp and stuff like that to seal it. It just gets smeared on and stuff like that. So that's why I think it could not be Ramsay. And another reason is because it's a cliffhanger. And if it was a cliffhanger, why would it be Ramsay? You know what I mean? It has to be something else. So if something else I got to go by is Stannis Baratheon. Now I know people want to say Mance, but I'm just telling you, I believe there's another thing in the letter. Well, this episode's not about the letter. It's about the siege of Winterfell. Even though they're tied together. So let's talk about the siege of Winterfell. When I look at this, we must ask ourselves why Lord Stannis, or how Stannis is going to try to take Winterfell. Like I said before, is he going to use a go method, or is he going to use, look at the other video, a go method, or is he going to use the traditional chess strategy? Now we know if he uses the chess strategy, he's doomed. Theon says it himself. If he does, he's doomed. The castle was too strong. Even with the moat frozen over, Winterfell's defenses remained formidable. Theon had captured the castle by stealth, sending his best men to scale the wall and swimming under the moat, under the cover of darkness. The defenders had not even known they were under attack until it was too late. No such subterfuge would be possible for Stannis. So, he can't storm the castle. If he did, he would die. Right? So there's no way he's gonna take it that way, by force, by using a chess method. That will never happen. So last time I told you I used a Sun Tzu analogy. So if I'm going to use another Sun Tzu analogy, the same one I used before, and Stannis will use it again, how Stannis will win this siege of Winterfell. And it says, Sun Tzu says, know yourself and know your enemy, and 100 battles you will never be in peril. Right? So we're going to use that to prove that Stannis will seize Winterfell this way. Alright? We know for a fact there are no loyal soldiers in Winterfell to the Boltons at all. That is Stannis' number one reason why he can take it. There's no one loyal to the Boltons. So how would Stannis know this? And how Stannis would know if there's no one loyal to Bolton in there? If he knew that, then it would be no problem, right? So he knows this from questioning Theon. And that's how he is going to understand that. he needs to know that there's no loyal people there. Theon's the key. And he says it right here. I know what he wants. The king indicated Theon. Him. They want him dead. Flint, Naughty, all of them want him dead. For the boys he threw. Vengeance for that precious Ned. Will you oblige them? Just now, the turncoat has more use to me alive. He has knowledge we may need. Now what's that knowledge? As I said before, he has two things Theon knows. Only two things. He knows how he got into Winterfell, and he knows that the people, the houses that are disloyal to Roose Bolton. Now, we know that Mandalay is definitely one of those people that are unloyal. And Stannis, he wonders this. You can see him wondering this when he talks to him and stuff like that, and wonders, are these people truly loyal? And he says it right here. Walter Mandalay, the king's mouth twisted with content. Lord too fat to sit a horse, too fat to come to me, yet he comes to Winterfell. Too fat to bend the knee and swear his sword, yet he wields that sword for the Bolton. I set my under-lord Lord to treat with him, and Lord too fat butchered him and mounted his heads on the wall, and his hands too. The walls of White Harbor for the phrase to gloat over. And the phrase, had the Red Wedding been forgotten? Theon, the North remembers the Red Wedding, Lady Hornwood's fingers, the sack of Winterfell, Deepwood Motte, and Torrhen Square. They remember it all. So if we look at Theon's chapters in A Dance with Dragons, then we know from that Theon knows that no one is loyal to the Boltons. And we could take that Theon would tell Stannis that no one is loyal to the Boltons. Now the Bolton has many houses down with them right now. Let's go through all the houses and see who is loyal to Bolton in there, or if they're not. All right, Lord Manderley. All right, Lord Manderley was so drunk he required 4 strong men to help him up from the hall. We should have a song about the rat cook, he muttered as he passed Theon, leaning on his knife. Slinger, give us a song about the rat cook. And that was from A Dance with Dragons, the Prince of Winterfell. Now House Dustin has sworn loyalty to the Starks to the death of Lord Dustin. Now, but what they really bring to Roose isn't really like strength or anything. Mostly they bring food and provisions. So they're not really a threat in any way physically and stuff like that. Alright? We know that the Manderleys is against Roose. And Lord Locke was seen talking to the Manderleys right before the attack on Manderley. And we know the Manderleys are not loyal. And we can go this by A Dance with Dragons, Davos, Chapter 3. The maid tells it true, declared a stocky man in white and purple, whose cloak was fastened with a pair of crossed bronze keys. Roose Bolton's cold and cunning eye, but a man can deal with Ruth. We all know worse, but his bastard, his son, they say he's mad and crueler, a monster. Alright? So we know that the Lockies are not down. Obviously they were talking to the Manderleys, who we know are against them, and we know that they have just said that they consider Roose's son a monster. Alright? Why is this acting up? Sorry. Always wants to act up. I'm trying to do something here. Alright? We know he considers a monster. Now Roose has the Umbers. We know that they are there too, but we know the Umbers aren't true, and we know this from A Dance with Dragons, the Turncloak. Old Horsebray Umber is only here because the Freys hold the great job captive. Alright. Now Roose has House Hornwood, but they hate on him too. We know this from A Dance with Dragons, the Turncoat. In that chapter, it says, and do you imagine the Hornwood's men have forgotten the bastard's last marriage, and how his lady wife had to starve, chewing on her fingers? What do you think passes through their heads when they hear the new bride weeping, valiant Ned's precious little girl? Alright? Plus, we know that the Manderleys have been keeping the Hornwoods as refugees. Alright? And we know that from the Dance with Dragons chapter, Davos 2. Them have no place to live, small folk from up the white knife. Most of them Hornwoods people too. What's that bastard old Bolton running loose? They all want to be inside the walls. I don't know what his lordship means to do with all of them. Most of them turn up with rags on their back. Right? So we know that they aren't really loyal either. Now, House Stout isn't loyal, and we know this from this. Elsewhere, one-armed hardwood stout talked quietly with the cavernous white Horsebane Umber. So you see them talking inside of Winterfell. House Flint, House Serling, Tallheart, and Slate are not loyal. And it says that in the Dance with Dragons chapter, The Ghost of Winterfell, and the Dance with Dragons chapter, Reek. Flints, Serwins, Tallhearts, Slates, they all had men with the young wolf. The Serwin and the other one, the Serwins and the Tallhearts are not to be relied on. So it seems that Roose, out of all those people he has down with him, only truly has one house that's with him. And I'm talking about the northern houses. I'm not talking about the Freys. Alright? And that is House Ryswell. Barbary Dustin is my second wife's youngest sister, Roger Ryswell's daughter, sister to Roger, Richard, Riddark, and my own namesake, Roose cousin to the other Ryswells. She was fond of my late son and suspects you of having some part in his demise. Lady Barbie is a woman who knows how to nurse a grievance. Be grateful for that. The Barrington is staunch for Bolton largely because she still holds Ned Stark to blame for her husband's death. Alright. Now, but we know that Roose was married to a Ryswell, right, Osley, and the son's name was Domeric, and they believe that Ramsay had something to do with the death of that kid. And it says right there that Lady Barman Dustin, who was a Ryswell before she married Dustin, knows how to nurse a grievance. So she knows how to hold something back and use it when it's right time. So when we take all that, we know from that, Stannis has got that information from Theon. He knows that these people will break apart. All he has to do is give him a reason to. Alright. So now, the next part of Sun Tzu thing says, know yourself, know your enemy, and in 100 battles you will never be in peril. So we know that Stannis has knowledge of his enemies. Now, does Stannis have knowledge of himself? Yes, he does. And especially in a situation like this. And this is what he says. We all know what my brother would do. Robert would gallop up to the gates of Winterfell alone and break them with his warhammer and ride through the rubble and slay Roose Bolton with his left hand and the bastard with his right. I am not Robert, but we will march. We will free Winterfell or die in the attempt. So right then, we know that Stannis realizes that he is not Robert and he cannot run up and storm the gate. So he knows he can't take Winterfell by that way. So he knows he has Theon there. So this is the way I'm going to have to break it down how it's going to go. There's no other facts that I can give you how else it's going to go but the ones I gave. So now this is basically all just me just talking right now. What I think is going to happen in this battle is when I think that Stannis fakes his own death, as in the letter with the pink letter, right? He's going to act like he's dead. Now remember, there were 3 ravens there, right? The one raven already sent the letter back to Winterfell, right? And that's how Roose and them knew where Stannis was at. Stannis caught the other guy, caught the mace that got the other 2 ravens. I think he's going to send a letter back to Roose saying he won and that they killed Stannis. And that's what's going to get Roose to open up the gates. Alright? So I think that the other people... Now, you got to remember, how did Ramsay take Winterfell from Theon? Think of it like that. Ramsay was in disguise acted like he had help, went out, and came back and sacked it. And I think you have the same thing going to happen again. I think they're going to take the phrase armor, their clothes, they're going to put it on, they're going to act like Stannis is dead, whether they have his body draped across something, like he's laying there dead, and then they have someone just holding up his sword and walking through the gates like that, cheering. Obviously, remember, it's snowing outside and everything else, so there's not going to be a lot of visibility they have to worry about. And then once they get inside, they can just sack the city. And I think once they sack the city, now they'll have the Mandalays on their side too. So it's also going to look like the Mandalays are bringing back Stannis and everything else, and the other guys dressed up as the Frey, and then they will sack the city. As I always said, the Mandalays had already been talking to people inside. So I think they've already conspired with people who know the deal that are inside there. So I think that is exactly how it will be sacked by Stannis, and then using that Trojan horse type thing, rise up, and then he will take it. Getting back to the pink letter, that is the reason why I think he asked for them to come down. In the pink letter, he asked for his family and stuff to come down, Stannis, because either that letter was sent after the sack of Winterfell, after he sees Winterfell, or right before, when he's very confident he's going to get Winterfell, with the knowledge that he's already defeated Manly's on his side. He has all the knowledge and they have the plan. So now he needs to bring them down. He also has to protect his family from what's coming up, from White Walkers and everything else coming down. So he needs some people to come down there and secure his back, just to make sure no one tries to run up on him. So that's why I think he definitely sent that letter to Jon to goat him, because obviously he's tried to goat him before to get him to come out and stuff like that and everything else. So that's what I think the plan was with that letter and stuff like that. So I think Stannis gets in there, he sneaks in there, Trojan horse style, and boom, he sacks the city. I think that's the way it goes down. So that's my full thing on the Battle of Ice. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this second video came a long time from the first video, but at least it came. That's what I got to say. And yo, I'm gonna bounce right now. As always, I told a couple of people, I got a couple of things. I told some I'm going to do something on, because I talked about, what's that dude's name? That Three-Eyed Raven in the other video. So obviously Blood Raven, obviously he's going to be in the show soon too. So I'm going to do something on Blood Raven, and I'm going to finish up the prophecy stuff, and a couple of other things and stuff like that we're going to jump on and stuff like that. So as always, thank you for subscribing. Please tell your friends about me. Please like it, Fonzie it, you know what I mean. 1+ it. Share it on your Twitter and your Facebook, because I don't have that stuff. So if you can share it, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And as always, thank you once again. And this is the Don Cheer House Teflon, Tony Teflon of House Teflon. Cheer, 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 cheer. We pull the strings, people's champ. And I'm out.